Hey guys, we are the Jersey Comic Crew, and in this episode, we are talking Cobra Kai Season 3. We'll see you inside.
Hey guys, Rob and Chris here from the Jersey Comic Crew, and on today's video, we're going to talk about Cobra Kai Season 3 full review and breakdown. At the end of this video, you're going to get our rankings for the show. It's going to be just like school from A to F, and this is your spoiler warning. We're going to mention some spoilers throughout the show, so get ready. So, Chris, the first act of this play, if you will, of this season, we know that Miguel's in the coma. He might not walk again. Robbie's on the run for doing all the crazy stuff. And then she's suspended for 2 weeks like a couple other kids. And she's having panic attacks and dealing with all the stress that came from the season 2 cliffhanger finale, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So we have Daniel and Johnny are teaming up to try to find Robbie, which is Johnny's son. Eventually they do find him. He gets pretty much turned in by Daniel LaRusso, gets sent to juvie. Now, while Miguel is in the hospital, Johnny's trying to sell all of his stuff off to pretty much help pay for his pupil, his adopted son's medical bills to try to get this going out. Meanwhile, we get the business side of LaRusso's getting destroyed because they're getting blamed for the fight. And one of their other competitors is trying to buy out the business, and they did a secret trade behind their back with another car company. So they lose the inventory of the cars. Then Sam, LaRusso's daughter, is trying to deal with this and try to get back at Cobra Kai. She rallies the other Miyagi-Do kids to fight and strike back against Cobra Kai. This is where the big climactic fight of the first act comes in, where there's a fight in an abandoned warehouse, and Hawk breaks Dimitri, they used to be BFFs, breaks his arm.
Yeah, man.
We do get some hope at this, that we see Johnny starts to begin his quote-unquote special rehabilitation program, which is just him throwing bricks at a kid is really what it is, and lighting him on a fire and throwing hustlers at him to try to get in.
Hey, that would get a lot of people out of chairs.
Yeah, they even like snuck him into a concert so he could listen to rock and roll, have a beer, and he starts tapping his foot. So that is like the whole setup for this season, and I do gotta say, I like the setup. Like, I like this first act of this season. Thought they did a lot of good there. You know, they still have LaRusso and Johnny trying to be friends, but not really because they're both so thick-headed and stubborn. I thought that worked really well.
It's great to see how this show picks up right after that epic fight at the end of season 2. And we also kind of had these questions of like, okay, it was a YouTube Red show, which didn't really work out for YouTube. Netflix picked it up. Like, how is the production going to be? Is it going to be like, hey, look how great this Netflix budget is? And now they're like, it's almost like Saved by the Bell looking or something.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that most of everything was kind of like the same. I got to say, first act, I thought the Robbie stuff was a little like, it wasn't long, but it didn't have much substance.
It didn't give you that pow that you thought it would.
Yeah, like I had a feeling that Robbie was going to like hate the both of them for everything, course. Right? You know, and we've kind of seen this kind of rise and fall of Robbie, and we're going to probably see him rise again in this kind of situational stuff. But the aspect of, you know, Johnny and LaRusso working together is always amazing. Like, Johnny's just eating like corn nuts in the car.
Yes.
You know,
they were like, oh, like, good cop, bad cop kind of thing. And the wife's like, neither of you guys are cops. Don't do this.
Yeah. Like, Johnny's blowing the whole thing to his wife over the phone, and like, which is hilarious because he doesn't care. And,
yeah.
You know, stuff like getting gas station food. He's like, what, are you too good for gas station food? And Daniel's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So, like, I like the two aspects of what went on, and kind of how Johnny is seen as this kind of like, you know, poor, slummy, drinks a lot of beer, falls asleep on his couch kind of guy. Daniel's like this 1%er classy guy. But the way they came up was Johnny was rich when he was a kid. Daniel was poor when he was a kid, and it's kind of flip-flop. So that was really awesome. And Hawk breaking Dimitri's arm. Wow, man. I hated Hawk so much by the time like mid-season 2 came around. And I was like, dude, if he breaks this kid's arm, I'm done with this. Like, I'm so done with Hawk. Like, he's
yeah, 100%. Like, when Hawk did that, I was like, all right, any chances I thought Hawk would get a redemption arc was done. Obviously, spoilers, at the season finale, he does get somewhat of that. But let's move on to the second act, where I thought the show kind of struggled a little bit for me. Johnny's still doing this training for Miguel to get his legs working, and Miguel sees that Johnny's been trying to message Allie. and he teaches him the ways to be technological literate in this time where he's stuck in the 80s. So that was still fun to see the man out of time who doesn't know how to use Facebook or do anything. Now we focus on Daniel, who goes back to Okinawa to deal with his car deal with Toyota, because they can't say Toyota, right? To try to get those cars back. And he's essentially taking a walk down memory lane. He goes back to the village where Mr. Miyagi took him when he was a young boy. He sees that it's been changed, turned into a strip mall. But that's where he catches up with one of his old friends, like love interest, if you will, right, Chris?
Yeah, the in between flame after Ali and Karate Kid 1, when he goes back to Okinawa, which is where Mr. Miyagi's from. Before it was a strip mall, which is hilarious because of course everything's a strip mall now, even in Japan. The aspect of like Kumiko was there and she was still in the village somewhat, doing like traditional dance, and he like flashes back to Karate Kid 2 and he's like seeing everything in his mind's eye. It was just awesome, especially if you're a fan of the Karate Kid movies like this nerd. It was really cool to see that.
Then we see the villain from Karate Kid 2, Chosen, right? He comes in and full serious demeanor. I'm like, oh my god, we're reliving. Is this going to be the villain of the rest of the season? Like, we don't know what's going on. I thought it was going to be Kreese, and then Chosen pretty much explains to Daniel that they're like essentially karate cousins. Like his master and Master Miyagi's master was the same master, and there's a lot of things that Daniel didn't know about his former martial arts. So pretty much Chosen gave Daniel the secret to how to level up his fighting style that he didn't know, so he could take it back. And then he meets Yuna, the girl that he saves in Karate Kid 2, who just so happens to be the senior vice president of Toyota. So that way they can get the whole company back online. And then, Daniel comes home and realizes that Sam is dealing with the PTSD from the fight, and she was frozen and her friend's arm got broken because she wasn't allowed to move, and Daniel tries to work through that with her. For me, I enjoyed this walk down memory lane with Daniel LaRusso, Mr. Miyagi, see Miyagi's love letters at the end. I thought it was all great. But it just, for me, with overall, it was eating up a lot of episodes, and I was just like, where are we going with this season? And now, after watching the season fully, I realized this is the in-between season, right? This is the setup season for the next season that's going to knock it out of the park. And you need these moments to kind of enrich those characters' lives. So I understand. I appreciate it. And I appreciate it for the overall story of Cobra Kai from seasons 1 to wherever they're going to end in 4 or 5. But for season 3, it just felt such a slow pace compared to what we got in the previous season.
I'm on the other side. I know you like all action and kind of like easy stuff, like love interest and action is kind of where you are in that mode.
I'm watching karate kung fu movies, yes.
Well, yeah, but it's a drama series at the same time, and it's like a teenage growing up series. I love the second act of this season.
Mm-hmm.
I love the messages behind it, the under the skin deep tones that you actually have to like kind of think and get into. And I'm not, it's Cobra Kai. It's not an epic, thinker of a TV show. It's not West Wing, it's not, Watchmen or something like that where it mixes action and deep thought. But it's all the things that the basic tones of choices, the basic things of decision making, taking steps back from your kind of mundane everything going on kind of lifestyle. The moments where, he's going back to try to find this piece of his past to help him in his future. Mr. Miyagi was always there for Daniel, right?
True,
that was his kind of surrogate father, his surrogate brother, his surrogate best friend. He even says he was the best friend I ever had to the random bartender guy. And to get that letter that talks about him and his daughter and his family feeling like that closure he kind of needed, even though he's feels like everything's changing and he has no control, right? He goes back to this place where in his mind is perfect. And that's the audience, right? We remember Karate Kid 2 as this awesome village kind of out of, USA tale. And he goes to the strip mall. It's like, what do you mean everything's changed? And it's like the fear of change, the fear of acceptance, and then going back home and realizing, man, I went on this emotional soul searching journey with all this great stuff. He learns the pressure points from Chosen. who ends up like laughing at the end and being like a nice guy. He's like, "Oh, I'm a teacher. I gotta go teach." And
What I
going,
really liked what you said there was like the message that season 2 brought about, which I didn't really hit home to me till I heard the line from Allie, who does come back and visit, when she says, it's important to look to the past and live in it for a moment, but then to carry forward and move forward. And that's what that second act of Karate Kid season 3 was. It's like uh, Daniel going back to Okinawa to relive those moments to kind of get that inspiration so we could kind of move forward. And that's kind of like been the underlying theme of this season, which you don't really get on the first initial watch.
out of all the 3 seasons, I would say this season is definitely a little more predictable. I was able to kind of be like, "Oh, this is where this is going," a little easier than the others, but it didn't take away the
Mm-hmm.
enjoyment for me personally. You know what I mean? And I absolutely like that's one of my favorite scenes where he's sitting with Sam after like he kind of like gets her on the fishing boat and she's like,
Yeah.
"This is about karate again. Why is everyone so obsessed with karate?" He's like, "No, it's not." And where he's like, "Listen, like, I just went through this thing and this is how I dealt with it." And he takes her to the gym and he shows her and she kind of is like, "You don't get it, Dad. Like, it's different for girls. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
I
true.
can't be a badass and kick a girl in the teeth
Mm-hmm.
and be cool and a hero. Like, I'm just a crazy psycho chick now." And to
That's
kind of have
terrible.
Daniel be like I understand to the extent I can.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a great scene where it's just, hey, this is as far as I can go, but here's maybe something else if you look at it this way that can help you, and it eventually does. I thought that was a great moment.
The third act, the climax of the season, pretty much starts right around when Robbie gets released out of prison or juvie, essentially, and both LaRusso and Johnny are there. He doesn't want anything to do with either of them. He goes on his own path, which will eventually leads him down to Kreese. He's going to start training with Kreese, who's the villain of this whole season, the new leader of Cobra Kai. He's going to be under their poisonous rule. And then you get Amanda confronting Kreese, slaps him in the face, tries to get a restraining order to try to deal with this by the books. It doesn't really work out. We do see that Johnny finally gets with Miguel's mom, Carmen. So that's great to see. They finally start falling in love. But the next day, Allie comes in, and I'm
Oh,
like,
it's so great.
great. Are you going to throw all that away for Allie? She doesn't even
I thought he
care.
was going to.
I, dude, and then them having their little like date from the past and hanging out. I got that worried because she was throwing so many teases like, oh, it's cold out here. Oh,
Yes.
it's no Mr. Schwarberger or whatever her name was.
Well, so really quick.
God.
So I thought, so Carmen said when she left in the morning and did the, "Oh no, I'm wearing the same clothes, walk of shame." I thought she said, "Oh, I had to work a double." I'm
I thought
like,
she
"Oh
did.
God." She did. I thought when Johnny was going with Allie to that Christmas party, she was going to be working there.
Oh,
So in my head, I'm
wow.
like, he's going to walk in with her. He's going to try and up his game because Daniel's there and be like showing off and doing crazy stuff. And Carmen's going to see it and it's going to like blow up everything. I'm so glad it didn't happen because I was like so ready for that like Greek novella tragedy, which doesn't make sense when it comes to cultures, but
Speaking of the party, we didn't know that Daniel was going to be there. He just went with Allie. And then you kind of got that heart drop in your stomach because you thought maybe it's her. Maybe it's Kreese. And then you see Johnny. I'm like, oh my God, are they going to fight here? But thankfully, Johnny, Daniel's wife, and Allie, they all sat down together, talked things out. And it kind of seemed like they were building towards a mutual understanding of each other. And Allie was kind of like the glue for this relationship to bring back together. She's like, you guys aren't so different. There's your side, there's his side, and then there's the truth. Right? So you kind of see that mutual admiration, which we were starting to get from the previous season. So I was finally glad we got to this. But then, for some reason, the cops weren't called, but there was a break in at the LaRusso's. Cobra Kai comes in like a gang of thugs. Like, this isn't karate anymore. This is just gangs. These are gangs. They come
it's
in
like
just.
the nematodes and SpongeBob. They just come eat everything
No,
and
it's like
leave.
the Bloods and the Crips, man. They just come in and start taking each other out.
It's
I'm like,
not because there's no guns for
no
some
guns.
reason. And the best line of the whole season is the lady at the PTA meeting who's like, "I just don't understand why the city's so obsessed with karate." And
Yes.
it makes all the sense in the world because it's like, exactly, like someone fights like this, someone's getting a gun and killing. Like, this is
Yeah, I don't
way
know.
too serious now. Like, this gets escalated. Like, there's no way everyone's just a ninja in town.
So everybody was a ninja in the LaRusso household. You know, the fights are going back and forth. We see Sam starting to get her confidence to fight the girl that scratched her, who's in prison. You know, Robbie isn't there, so I'm like, all right, at least Robbie's not involved in this. Hawk does his breaks free of this mental poison that Kreese was flowing into him, saves Dimitri, starts fighting everybody else to bring everything back. Miguel, who was in a coma like 2 weeks ago and could barely walk, became the kung fu master he was doing the spinny flip kicks and kicked the wrestler in the face. Then
I hate that guy.
I hate that guy.
Oh,
I do
I hate
too.
that guy. By the way, to me it was very Miguel was like the Super Saiyan because he like got the crap beat out of him and then became like twice as powerful. And even says like that's what I needed. I'm like, your face is gone.
I think what he needed was to see Hawk and Dimitri hanging out and being friends and working together.
Yes. But he
Or
went
he's a Super Saiyan.
Like, I
It's
think
one
he's
or
a
the
Super
other.
Saiyan. Dude went nuts. Great fight scene though.
But then we get something I've been waiting for since the beginning. Johnny goes to Kreese, kicks in the door, and then he sees his son with Kreese. You would worry when Robbie was with LaRusso, and LaRusso is a good person. You just have beef with him. Now he's with Kreese. He's going to get all this poison in him. And then he just starts attacking him. They start fighting back and forth. And Johnny's pretty much winning. And then Robbie comes in, and I'm like, oh, no. Don't do this. He's like, I'm not fighting you, my boy. He starts deflecting. I'm like, no, Dad, don't do it. Don't hit him. And then he pushes him, and he hits his head, and he's like, oh, my God. Kreese grabs the knife thing from Raphael, the Ninja Turtle, and tries to attack him. And then LaRusso comes in.
He had all the Ninja Turtle weapons.
All the Ninja Turtle weapons. He was
all
ready.
Of them. I was like, is this Ninja Turtles?
LaRusso comes in, starts fighting him, gets thrown through a glass window, and does the new thing that Chosen's does, like starts blocking his chi, essentially, so he can't move. And the kids come before LaRusso goes sending through the glass, which I really want him to do. And he's like, you know what? We're going to settle this the way we should in the tournament. If I win, you guys are gone. If you guys win, I'm out of here. I'm like, what? What? Okay.
I was waiting for the scene in Rick and Morty where like it's the Mr. Beasties and he hits the putt and he's like, we'll take that food to go. And they're like, no, you won't. The cops are coming. You have to answer for all this. Like that ending should have been like, no, we're not settling this in a tournament. You're going to jail. You tried to kill me. Like,
yeah, like
we called the police.
Like, how come the cops are never here? Like, that's the one thing. Like, I love the show.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm fine with them getting in trouble, but like, I definitely need the cops to come to take these kids and detain them. So something to show a little bit more stakes, and actually these kids are getting punished for being monsters, because technically, I guess they're all white belts, right? But like after a certain degree, like I know this from experience, like you have to register your hands as deadly weapons. They're essentially going out killing people. Like a kid's arm got broken twice, somebody got paralyzed. No cops are involved. Okay.
It's just it was. There's some of the like it's very like 80s shtick loopholes in it.
Yes.
But I just still love it so much.
I
like,
do. That's the worst thing. Like I feel bad for loving it.
Like, it's like I love it, and it's just such a nostalgia like punch in the face, no pun intended. But yeah, I thought that third act like hit home in a lot of ways. Bringing Allie back was amazing.
That was good.
Like that was worth the price of admission, which is nothing. But I love that. I love that kind of awkward scene where like you thought it was almost going to be awkward between her and Amanda, and then it was just awkward for them too because of all the stories she had. So everything in this season, like, even the little stuff I loved. I loved Tori's backstory where she's working 2 jobs and she's got a sick mom and a little brother at home.
Oh, that creepy pervert landlord.
And like Kreese comes in basically as the hero in that scenario. So obviously he's doing it so she would come back and be under him. She's still completely insane, but it's still fine. Anyone who's like, I'm not crazy, it's like, yeah, sure. But the little stuff was awesome in the show all the way down the line. Even like I thought it was cool where like Kreese clearly put all the Cobras in the cars at the dealership after like the dealership's done, right? It's safe. We saved the dealership, and then like all these snakes are pouring out of it.
Cobras.
Just cobras. And yeah, it's just it's a great show. I love the nostalgic hits, bringing people back from like brought back Yuna, who was like 7 in that movie.
Well, here's the thing with them bringing back these characters, with the exception of maybe Yuna, because Yuna I think was like the throwaway bring back. Because every character that they did bring back to the show so far has played an important role in this show's progression. Right? Yuna was the loophole to get them out of the deal. Right? That's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
But like
absolutely.
seeing Kamiko, seeing Chosen, seeing all this kind of stuff helps elaborate and helps detail out the story that is Karate Kid from back in the 80s to now. The story becomes much fuller because of these characters coming back, which is just fantastic to me. I'm very excited to see season 4. We're definitely going to do a full speculation video of what we think is going to happen, so you guys make sure to stay tuned for when that video launches. Chris, I think it's time for ratings. Are you
Let's
ready?
rate it. Yeah.
I'm giving this mm-hmm. a B to a B plus. I'm gonna say B plus.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it the B plus. I think it was a lot of fun. It was good, but it was like the setup season, so I'm not giving it anything higher. And I hesitated with the B because of the B plus because the pacing. But you know what? The nostalgia bombs you threw in, B plus. There you go. Good job.
There you go. Hey, have another.
Hey, have the plus.
It's tough for me. I love it so much. It's a medium. It's a series. It's a franchise now that I've loved since I was a kid. Like even watching those movies over and over again. Just the stuff about LaRusso's kind of like the Luke Skywalker, right? It's like the everyman becomes this like badass. I'd probably go B plus myself. Like I was triggering on A minus, but I'll probably go B plus as well and agree with you because I loved it and I loved those little moments. Even and the funny moments were great, like Dimitri hooking up with that like the hottest girl in school after she was like avoiding it.
Dude,
it was so
when
great.
he got the penis thrown on it, she's like, he has it. I like your big penis. I'm like,
I love your
big dick. Yeah, right.
Amazing.
And I'm like, you're
amazing.
just gonna walk around in high school with that? All right, I think that's fine.
More, my thing was like, I wonder how his mother's gonna take that when he goes.
She might high five him. She might be like, "Yes, son, there you go.
About time."
All right.
But like stuff like that, I loved the little moments. Even Daniel walking in on Sam and Miguel making out in the dojo.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets to know Miguel and he's showing him the car and stuff, like which was
and they were very similar, right? They both grew up poor and now they're on this journey. I liked it
and
a
also
lot.
telling Miguel the other side of the story, like, dude, I'm not that bad of a guy. Like, Johnny's gonna make it seem like this. But...
Johnny's left some details out. Yes.
Yeah, so that was amazing. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. I can't wait for next season. And like Rob said, don't forget our next episode. We'll detail some Kree stuff because we saw his backstory in it and all this other stuff. So yeah, definitely check that out as well.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment below what your rating is of Karate. Oh, sorry. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment down below your rating of Cobra Kai Season 3. We'll see you next time.
And guys, thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, like, really helps the channel out a lot. And please, if you're new, subscribe. Turn on those notifications. You don't want to miss any more videos of fun stuff like karate, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid. We're going to do speculation videos. There's more to come. So stay tuned. And thanks so much for watching. And we'll see you next time.